Trigger warning. This video discusses domestic violence, physical abuse, psychological trauma, and acts of extreme violence in detail. And this video contains major plot details from the K-drama As You Stood By. Viewer discretion is advised. From its very first frame, As You Stood By strikes like a bruise you can't look away from. It follows two childhood friends, Yoon-soo and Hui-soo, whose lives are bound by fear, guilt, and the quiet rage that comes from surviving long-term abuse. Hui-soo's marriage to Jin-pyo, a wealthy yet cruel man, becomes a living cage, one where every apology hides a new scar. Yoon-soo, who witnessed her own father's violence growing up, recognizes the signs instantly. The look in Hui-soo's eyes isn't just fear, it's exhaustion, the kind that comes from being told that endurance is a virtue. Together, the two women decide that silence has cost them enough. Their plan is desperate, messy, and morally impossible: to end the cycle by taking a life and framing his identical double. It's not about vengeance, it's about reclaiming control in a world that refuses to protect them. The show's early episodes are its strongest. They don't rely on spectacle, but on atmosphere and silence. A blender's hum turns into a trigger. A bruised woman at a luxury store silently pleads for help and is met with complicity. A mirror becomes both a weapon and a witness. The acting here is exceptional. Jeon So-nee's Yoon-soo weaponizes composure, channeling trauma into calculation, while Lee Yumi's Hui-soo embodies fragility cracking under pressure. Together they anchor a story that's painfully real. Their friendship becomes both the rebellion and the tragedy, two women finally refusing to stand by. But As You Stood By isn't just about these two women, it's about all the silences that surround them. According to the World Health Organization, nearly 1 in 3 women worldwide experience physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. It's a staggering number, not a statistic, but a reflection of how normalized cruelty has become. The show mirrors this reality without sensationalizing it. For the first half, it feels like a social reckoning disguised as a thriller. Every bruise is political, every apology is cultural. It critiques the way society teaches women to hide pain, to forgive aggressors, to stay for the children, to not make a scene. And that's what makes the show's mid-season collapse so frustrating. Around episode 5, the storytelling begins to fracture. The realism that once made it powerful starts to feel overwritten. What began as a psychological study of trauma slips into melodrama. The script forgets its thesis. It starts showing guilt as madness rather than as consequence. Hui-soo's visions, once haunting, become exaggerated. Jin-pyo's detective sister turns cartoonishly manipulative. And most painfully, the moral stance that once felt daring begins to retreat. By the time we reach the final 2 episodes, the show that once asked, "What if justice fails you?" starts whispering, "Maybe you should have stayed quiet after all." The ending leaves a bitter taste. After spending 7 episodes exposing how society gaslights victims, the finale forces the women to confess and accept punishment as if they've committed the greater wrong, not for defending themselves, but for stepping outside their assigned roles. It's almost as if the show flinches at its own courage. Instead of following through with its radical empathy, it retreats into moral correctness. Violence is wrong, law must prevail, forgiveness is redemption. But what about the systems that let this suffering continue in the first place? What about the people who never make it out alive? Even with its flawed ending, As You Stood By remains one of the most thematically provocative Korean thrillers in recent memory. It's not a story you enjoy. It's one you sit with, uncomfortably. Because beneath its fictional layers lies a global truth. Domestic violence is not confined to one culture, one gender, or one country. It's an epidemic of silence, one that thrives in homes, workplaces, and courtrooms that still tell survivors to endure quietly. The show's title becomes its accusation to all of us. As you stood by, as you watched, as you said nothing, someone suffered, someone broke, someone disappeared from the story. And that's what As You Stood By ultimately leaves you with. Not resolution, but reflection. It's a mirror held up to the bystander, to the friend who said nothing, to the audience that scrolls past stories of abuse because it's too heavy. It's a reminder that silence is a form of violence, that looking away is complicity, and that no one should ever have to commit an irreversible act just to be heard.